Alrighty, hello everyone. We are live, day 5, or round 5, day 6, U.S. Championships, happening now. Let's take a look at some games. This was Neiman Mishra. We just had open. One game already finished. Wesley against Levon. This was a quick draw. Let me see this one. Four knights. Yeah, Wesley not really playing today. I think he said he was tired from Speech's championship. I don't know what that has to do with U.S. championship, but all right. Rest day for Wesley and Levon. Swird's Caruana is very complicated. Let me see here. Caro Khan. Fabi castled queenside and e5. Hard move to understand for white. You would think you can keep building up, but he just closes it up. And now both sides are saying they're better on the king side. But I'm not sure who's right. We'll see. Okay, we also have our two friends playing, Ray against Sam. They've played many games. Let's see here. Philidor, H3, G4, A4. And Ray castles kingside, but then goes, okay, knight d2, f4, knight e2. We got some trades. Bishop a6. Endgame. No, bishop f3. Okay. I'm not really sure who's really even better here, actually. To me, it looks like black is actually doing pretty well here. Not that black is better, but black I think is very comfortable because knight can kind of come around. And the rook is active. B4, rook can come to A3. Hello, Dr. Popop asking, is the U.S. Championship for GMs only? So the way the format works, or has worked for the U.S. Championship for many years now, is that it's a closed round robin. And the way you get invited to the tournament is through a number of different ways. One is if you're last year's winner, then you get an automatic invite to this year's championship. A number of players get in by rating. I think something like 8-9 players get in by rating. One spot is given to the U.S. Junior Champion, which is usually going to be a Grandmaster because these days the top juniors in the U.S., most of them are GMs. So typically a Grandmaster wins U.S. Junior Championship. This year is Andy Woodward that won and qualified. And one spot goes to the U.S. Open Champion, which technically could be anyone, and IM could win the U.S. Open, and it has happened before, but these days, generally Grandmaster is going to be winning the U.S. Open. So officially it's not for GMs only, but to get into the U.S. Championship, you effectively have to be Grandmaster level. Last time a non-GM played U.S. Championship was not that long ago. It was like a couple of years ago when I think there was a couple of IMs that won U.S. Open. But back then, of course, it was not quite as strong as it is now. Now it's very competitive. Hello, Leviathan. Hello. How are you doing? Okay, but this one I feel like white is still okay, although I feel like Ray doesn't have any advantage here. Normally white's playing for the advantage. I don't think he is anymore. His time usage in this game has been fascinating. For the most part, Ray has played pretty quickly. Pretty much all of his moves, he hasn't spent more than a minute, 4 minutes, 6 minutes, but he did spend 39 minutes and 22 seconds on bishop g2. So that's that's our friend Ray Robson. So 39 minutes on this move, bishop g2. It's a very consequential move. You know, he's deciding where he wants to put the bishop. He probably decided that he's going to castle kingside here instead of queenside, or leaving the king in the center. He was considering maybe other directions, like playing rook to g1, or playing g5, or playing bishop to c4, for example, and then g5. So he makes a very big choice here. 39 minutes though on bishop g2. I feel like that's too much. Okay, obviously he's way stronger than me, but like he knows what he's doing. But of course, it's time pressure is often a thing. Anyways, game-wise, I feel like black is, again, comfortable. I don't know if black is better, but I feel like black is definitely not worse with this knight against this bishop. So Sam here seems to be having good shape. Also, by the way, very interesting choice from Sam, who plays Philidor, which is not his usual repertoire. And then Ray spent like 2 minutes here. He played h3, which I think is not... I don't think this is one of the more common moves, but Sam was ready. Sam was ready regardless. I've played rook g1 in this position a couple times, including in classical chess, with that same idea, g4, g5. And in fact, you could even just play g4 here. This is this is playable too. I think Shirov, this was his invention. But anyways, this is live position. What happened to Sam's rating? He was floating around 2,700. Yeah, I mean, there's been deflation. I mean, I don't know. He probably had a couple of not so good tournaments, but it's very difficult to stay above 2,700. You know, a lot of players hit 2,700 and then immediately come back down. Like Ray hit 2,700, now he's down, and there are many others as well. I think part of the reason for that is because when you're 2,700, if you're not getting invited to elite events with players higher rated than you, then you have to play against like 2650 GMs, 2600 GMs, 2550 GMs. Those guys are very good. You know, they can hold end games. You know, they can hold you for draws, right? So it's really tough to maintain your rating if you're always playing down. Basically, if you're always playing down. And so that's what happens to a lot of these 2,700 guys if you don't get invites. Because a lot of the juniors, they do get invites. You know, you hit 2,700 as a junior, you start getting invited to Waikanze and all these places. You can continue to playing against high-rated players, and it's much easier to keep up your rating. But of course, this is somewhat trivial. You know, if you're improving as a player, generally your rating will go up. It's just very hard. The odds are stacked against you once you're at this level, right? It only gets steeper and steeper as you're 2,700. So very tough. But yeah, I don't think Shanklin is like any worse of a player or anything. If anything, he's probably stronger now than he was a couple of years ago, just kind of like with more experience. But the rating deflation is real. Knight takes g4, and what's the follow-up? Yeah, so in the opening, you could go g4 here. On knight g4, I think white just goes rook g1. Let's say you go back, and then like bishop c4, and white just plays for the attack here, like knight g5 ideas, maybe just developing, castling queenside. Because in the long run, it's like, where is black going to castle, right? Black's going to castle short, most likely. Castling queenside is going to take a long time. It's very hard to do. And then white has open g5. So it's kind of like you're playing for compensation here as white. Okay, so that's this one. Now, neither of these guys are actually doing that amazing in this event. They only have 1.5 out of 4, sadly for them. But, of course, they still have a lot of games left and a lot to fight for. Here we have Sevian against Andy Woodward. Andy, the junior. He has 1 out of 4. He managed to save that game against a Wonder. I think he was in trouble. So far he's made 2 draws. 1 against Fabi, though, which was a great game on his end. And 1 against the Wonder Liang. And then he lost to Levon, and he also lost to Oparin. And today he's defending with black against Sam Sevian. Sam decided to play English, not, I think, his most usual opening. And they get this kind of reverse open Sicilian structure. Knight a3, knight c2, e4, and now d4. So Sevian playing like the classic break in this position. But is this a break or pawn sacrifice? Break. Takes. Bishop g4, knight f3, castles, queen c2, a4. Feels like white's slowly improving the position, but, well, everything is equal. Let's move 23. More time for Andy, so he seems to be all right. But, of course, the situation is very complicated still. White has ideas of playing knight f5 somewhere, maybe g5. b3, of course, is a target. So, last move, queen e2. Curiously, white did not go knight f5. Maybe queen c5 he didn't like, hitting the queen. And then if you move the queen, of course, you're dropping b3. So I'm guessing that's what Sam's idea is with those last moves. He plays queen e2 so that now knight f5, queen c5 doesn't come with tempo, and then he can follow up with g5. But okay, for example, black can play rook e8 here and then here with a little trick. If g5, then queen takes f5, and oops, white drops a piece. But on queen c5, of course, white can continue rook c1. Okay, but rook takes d1 check. Queen takes d1. And then maybe white tries to play for g5. So something like this, I feel like, is what Sam is kind of looking at here. And so Andy has to figure out how to deal with this. Because knight f5 is unpleasant. It comes with tempo, and then if white gets g5 in, your kingside is completely opening up. So queen g4, gf6. So I'm not sure what black is going to do here. g6 is not a move you want to play against this bishop. Feels kind of unpleasant here for Andy. Maybe rook e8, knight f5, queen f8 just to check, but then g5, right? And this just feels very annoying. I don't know. Bishop takes b3, gf. Bishop d1, rook d1, takes. Hard to tell exactly what's happening here, but it does look very scary for black. White either wants some check or queen g4, say gf, check king h8. Or king h8. Yeah, hard to say, but again, I think this is what the players are roughly looking at. I don't know exactly what's best. I don't have the computer on. That's kind of what's fun, is that the players also don't have the engine with them. So we're kind of getting closer to what they're thinking and the kind of problems that they're facing. Do I think it's gambits like Evan's Gambit are suitable for players under 1700? Yeah, Marshall, I actually think in general gambits are more suitable for lower levels because opponents won't be so booked up in terms of how to play against them. And so you'll actually have more chances to get the jump on your opponent. So I think a lot of gambits are much more playable. At lower levels. Okay, Andy here thinking. Let's check in with another game. This was a wonder against Oparin. And I'm just curious about opening here. It was Sicilian. Rossolimo with bishop d7, knight f6, c3, bishop f1, e5. A lot of times black goes bishop g4, gives up the bishop like this, but here black goes e5, h3, oh, and g5. Oh, very sharp move. Very sharp move. And Oparin played this quickly too. So d4, g4. Very dangerous line for white. Takes, takes. dc, rook g8. So black is just going for it completely on the king side. Oh, but dc, okay, they get this endgame. Now things are less complicated, or less sharp, I guess, with queens off the board. b4 doesn't en passant. Maybe they said no en passant for this round. Because it's weird he didn't just immediately take. But maybe they said, you know, no en passant Fridays. Like how they do casual Fridays. Maybe it's no en passant Fridays for the tournament. So a4, knight g4, knight f5. Okay, 6. Just trying to understand who here is better or thinks they're better. It's hard to say. Very complicated. Very, very dynamic position. Knight takes b5 is there. Black wants to go e3 and open up the rook. This pawn is strong, but it can also be taken. Wow, very sharp situation. And he just moved. Okay, great. When is Dojo Talks coming for the new Total Chess World Championship? Actually, we guys recorded one earlier today. I'll have you know. And so that'll be out as soon as it's edited and uploaded, which shouldn't be too long. Maybe even later today. No promises. But yeah, soon. It's already recorded. And I think it's on the way. Okay, so Andy went queen e8. So he gets out of the tempo on knight f5. So now knight f5, maybe he takes here. And then there's like g5. Yeah, join Patreon to support the podcast. Absolutely. Absolutely. Although we need more posts on Patreon, I think. Queen e3 played instead, so Sam doesn't go for the sharp pawn sacrifice, just defends the pawn, and he leaves this and this up in the air. This feels unpleasant for black to me, because g5 is there, right? Like white just wants this very easy g5 pawn break, opening up the bishop on the diagonal. Rook on f8 is kind of stuck. We have open c-file. Knight on b6 isn't good. So I'm liking Sam's position. I feel like he has managed to outplay Andy here. I want to check Hans' game, guys, if you don't mind. Hans Niemann is playing. And he had, I saw Mishra sacrifice the piece for some pawns, and I don't know if it's worked out. Now look at this knight d6 move, huh? He's got some puzzle rush in mind. Puzzle rush idea, but black has 3 pawns for the piece, at least for the moment. So let's see how this game proceeds. So this was Italian game, Hans's world famous Italian game. He goes here, knight c4, bishop c2. He takes the bishop here. Once black goes c6, he decides he doesn't want to let black keep the bishop, so he takes that one. Goes d4 in the center, h3, a3, both sides improving their position, knight d2, and now d5, Mishra broke, take, bishop d4, g3, take, f4. And here Mishra decided to sacrifice, so this was very bold, because I feel like he didn't have to do this. Now this pawn is hanging, I'm not sure what exactly was the plan there. Maybe some kind of f5 queen h5 situation. So black maybe could have sacrificed the piece in different ways. If he didn't, then I guess white's next move is e5, which looks very scary, and then just kind of slowly squeezing king h2, knight f3. So Mishra says he hasn't lost a game in 70 games. He's not about to lose one now. Not to Hans Niemann, not to nobody else. He's going to sack a piece and try to hold on here. So takes, gets the third pawn. Queen f2, goes for endgame. Now knight d6, rook e1, rook e1. on the board. So Han's going to try to win this endgame. B6 just played. Move 29, B6. So they got 11 more moves to go. Plenty of time. Bishop B3 is... No, Bishop B3 is not there because then black, of course, could take. But Rook E7 is possible. Probably met with Bishop E6. So, yeah, feels like white is better here, or at least I would take white, but it's really not simple because black has 3 pawns for the piece, and it's very easy to see how the pawns start moving. No eval bar, Nino. Actually, generally we try not to use the engine too much on this channel because we're just focused on improvement, and it's kind of more fun to just sweat along with the players without actually knowing what computer thinks. It's our own little philosophy, if you will. Okay, so those are the 5 games going on in the open. Looks like we have actually glanced at all of them. You guys let me know which game you want to follow. There's this like French looking game now between Fabi and Darius. This one's pretty interesting because Darius has 3 minutes. It's move 24, so as usual, Darius is out of time. And now Fabi has 15 moves to try and... Yeah, let's watch this one, because I feel like Fabi's going to try to generate some chances here as black in this position. But we can watch other games as well if you guys are more interested in something else. Han's endgame also pretty interesting, but that one's going to go on for a while for sure, so we'll have some time to take a look at it. Yeah, try winning one of these. Yeah, exactly. Well, for either color, actually. Hard to win. Very close position. Okay, so how's Fabi going to try to improve here? Guys, let's see if we can guess Fabi's next move. Not so easy. Maybe h5, because he already played g6. That will kind of provoke knight f3. Then you'd go h4. Knight drops back to f1. Then maybe g5, knight h2. Maybe somehow queen f8, bishop d8, trying to go knight e7. Joe Bruin, what's up, dude? How's it going? So g5. I don't like knight h5. Oh, nice. Nice job. Yeah, I haven't been in yet, but it looks great. So that's the problem with this one, and then we're kind of blockaded. So I was wondering about g5 myself, but then I noticed back here that Fabi played g6 at this moment. So of course he could have played g5, but then I assume he didn't like creating this outpost for white. And then not much has changed here, so yeah, it makes me feel like he's not about to go to g5. This is possible. And then here, and then here. But white comes here, and feels like white's kind of in control on the king side, and you don't really have any breaks because f6 is always super double-edged. Maybe sometimes it's working, but it's hard to see exactly how. I'm sure you will, Joe. I'm sure you will. In fact, I saw this interview that Hikaru is in town because Wesley said that he played the Speed Chess Championship match from the hotel, and that Hikaru also played from the hotel. So Wesley totally doxed Hikaru there. But that's cool. Maybe Queen F8 I'm thinking is like flexible move. That's my bet right now. Queen F8, I think that's the move he's going to play. Just kind of like, I feel like what Black wants to do is swing this knight over, get it to F5. Then either the knight is strong or white trades, but GF, open the G file. We'll see. Fabi thinking. And wait, I wonder has done something. Ah, very interesting. I see. I wonder endgame heating up a bit. Andy's still thinking, yeah, he had extra time when we started. He had like 15 extra minutes over Sam, but his position is not pleasant, so he's basically used that all up. And Han's basically okay, starting to squeeze a bit. Yeah, I mean, in general, JW, that's kind of the strategy when your opponent doesn't have a lot of time. Not to be too forcing. And not, yeah, so kind of make moves where they have a lot of options. Whereas if you play G5, they know they got to go knight H5. If you play H5, they know they should play knight F3 because, of course, their knight's not coming out to G4 anymore. If you play F6 or F5, you know, they know they should probably take on E6 and just go for the complications. And Darius is an extremely strong player, right? So it's not like, oh, just because he has 3 minutes, he's not going to find some good moves. No, he'll punish you. He's former world junior champion. You know, dude's an absolute killer. So Fabi, he's a professional and he's not like huge risk taker, right? So he's going to try to play correct chess, but also try to pose some questions for his opponent, which is difficult to do. Now, guys, I want to switch to the women actually quickly because it feels like my friend Tatev has found a tactic. I just want to see if my eyes deceive me. So this was the position. It was like French. Here is like castle's queen side. Okay, everything is very sharp. Opposite sides castling. Bishop c2, black goes d4. Generally a nice move if black can get this in. Now knight d4, I think Probably knight d4, queen d4, bishop c6 was the idea. Maybe there's others, but this looks very simple. So white couldn't take the pawn. Take. Queen a6. Eyeing some loose pieces. Bishop c2, knight b4. And now bishop a4. Very important moment, guys. b3 played. And now bishop takes b3. So if you take, the rook hangs, and if you take this way, this rook hangs. So rook's be hanging for white. And otherwise, bishop is coming around somewhere. Maybe even just bishop d5. Try to trade off light-scored bishop, which would be very nice for black, strategically. Okay, queen e1 played. After 4.5 minutes. So yeah, she definitely blundered b3, bishop takes b3. So hopefully Tatev can convert this one. It looks really good for her. Looks like she's in good form. Bishop, I just want to see rook g8. She spent 22 minutes on rook g8. That's a lot of time. Queen e1. Okay, but now it's looking nice for black, and I feel like you have a lot of options. You have knight c2, you have bishop c2, bishop d5 as well. Maybe you could take the a-pawn, but I really would prefer not to as black, because I don't think you need it. Maybe the endgame you would take it, but in the middle game it just doesn't seem practical to open up the opponent's rook. So I feel like I would probably go for bishop d5. And I'm not really worried about this d-pawn if white ever takes it, or bishop just kind of comes out to c5. And in the long run, we want like bishop d5, queen c6, put pressure against g2, get this rook to g8 at some point, bishop c5, h5, h4, and feels like black gets some really good play. Okay, so go Taktev. Some very, very chaotic games in the women's. Like what's going on here, guys? Without checking the engines, let's try to understand for ourselves what the evaluation is in this position. Of course, engine might say +2, -2, you know, but like, let's just enjoy it ourselves, huh? I mean, mamma mia. This is a big game, by the way. It's Carissa Yep against Anna Sargsyan. Anna is leading the event 3.5 out of 4, but Carissa's #1 seed. Struggling so far, 1.5, but everyone's rooting for her to win this one, to open up the tournament. I guess this and this is hanging. So knight c4 from Carissa. Very logical. But what is she going to do on AB? D7 maybe? What was the second reason B3 didn't work? So AB D7, Rook D8, Rook D6 I think is decent for white. Black defends, and then this knight can move somewhere. Probably knight b6. Okay, I'm starting to think this position is nice for white. Let's go back through the game. So this was Kalashnikov opening with c4, f5. Very sharp stuff here. a6, bishop, g5. So if you take, you give up the rook. And knight probably gets out. So queen d7, knight a3, f4. Yeah, this looks like this was nice for white. So I think black did something wrong in the opening. But what black did wrong? Maybe here had to play knight f7. I'm not sure. Actually, I would like to check this one in my own chess base. I'm very curious about this opening. I don't know if anyone knows the theory here or plays this. a6. Bishop g5. There have been games. a6, bishop g5. But not many games. So I wonder if it's just good for white. Yeah, it seems like it's good for white. f5 is the thing. F5 used to be the way they play it in different positions, and it is a move. It's just not nearly as common as like either bishop e7 or g6. It seems. So f5 very rare. And then white's response, knight c3, a6, and bishop g5. Wow, so Carissa actually knew her stuff here. Because black played like a really rare line. And let me see, does Anna normally play Kalashnikov? Sargsyan. No, I don't even see any games where she played Kalashnikov. So Carissa just knew this kind of detail. Let me check the time. Ah, okay. So f5, 16 minutes on knight c3. Okay. So of course she didn't know f5. She didn't know f5. So she spent 16 minutes on knight c3, but she found best line like this. Okay, guys, I admit I just checked with the engine quickly to see if this was a thing, and yes, bishop g5, best move according to computer. So Carissa kind of figured this all out OTB. And then, okay, I don't know about these other moves, but I think white definitely ended up getting advantage here. Okay, but this was sharp, so I don't know. Like this g4, g3. White takes this pawn. Knight b4. c5. Bishop g4. Wow. Wow, nice tactic from Sargsyan. Take here. Bishop g3. Takes. So I do think that this feels good for white. Oh, ab5, d7. Oh, all of our analysis is on the board. Rook d8. Oh, and rook f2 now. Ooh, rook f2. Okay. I thought rook d6, but rook f2 actually makes a lot of sense as well. Carissa much stronger than me, by the way, guys. So the moves that I suggest are not as good as the moves that she plays, you know, with her full focus at the board. So bc4 takes here. Rook g6. And now white to play. So this is live position. That's okay, JW. That's okay. It's all good. But yes, it's a good reminder for the YouTube audience that if you're watching behind, if you're, because you can scroll back, which is very, very convenient, but you write comments, you're writing comments to the live, like, no one knows what you're talking about. Okay. Definitely looks good for white here. 2 bishops against 2 knights, open position. G2 nicely protected. Both bishops powerful. Even if you lose the d pawn, I think white is kind of crushing here. But you don't necessarily have to lose the d pawn. You can go rook d1 right now, which to me looks like the most logical move. Just getting the piece that's doing the least in the position and activating it. Rook can come to d6. Now, of course, we should always ask if the opponent has a threat. So rook g6, is rook h6 a problem? Not really. I think we're happy to go for an endgame here as white because, again, our pieces are so powerful. So rook d1 would be my first instinct. Also on rook h6, we might just be able to sack and go rook takes f6. Where it feels like we're going to win the queen back. Okay, queen f4 played. This feels like a very safe choice. Wanting to take and take. Very technical. Black trades. Rook takes. Now black is going to have to defend this guy, and I think white still has time for rook d1 and rook d6. Rook d1 played. Okay, we're guessing some moves. Move 37 here, so Carissa definitely gonna make the time control. Kate Borman was asking, why are the top women's ratings lower than men's? If they don't compete together, there's a lack of players at that level. Well, I think it's kind of like a numbers thing, because the female population in chess is something like, I don't know, 5% or so. So when you have a lot fewer numbers playing, you're going to get a lot less higher rated players. I feel like it's similar, like we also don't have a lot of, we don't have a lot of like top Japanese players. Right? And it's like, why is that? Well, it's like, we don't really have a lot of Japanese players in general. Because they have shogi, or I remember people were saying like they don't play chess. They do other stuff in Japan, right? Doesn't mean they're not capable or anything. It just means like there's no numbers. But if a lot of Japanese players played, then we would have a lot more at least at the top. Participation gap. Yeah, I think that's a clean way to put it. Like I made the analogy on the podcast way back when, which I thought was very smart, about India. Like before 1989, there was no Indian grandmasters. And of course, with like the women in chess thing, people are always like, oh, why aren't women like higher rated? People always try to use that to like berate women and degrade women and say like, oh, women aren't as smart, women aren't like this, or whatever, like blah blah blah. But like, okay, 1989, India also didn't have any grandmasters. Also, there are women grandmasters, but 1989, India had no grandmaster. Doesn't mean Indian players weren't capable. Oh, and Anna Sargisson just resigned, by the way. Okay, so that shows you how good White's endgame was here. That is basically just resignable position for black. So nice win for Carissa. Bounces back to even score, and she opens up the tournament for everyone else because now Anna was the leader and is definitely going to get caught. Okay, let's just check in with Tadev, and then we'll get back to Open Championship. Queen e1, knight c2, take. 2 bishop a3. Okay, black's position looking very, very dynamic. Go with Tadev. So yeah, I think it would be, you know, it's interesting to look at India pre-1989, because it's like, okay, they didn't have any grandmasters. So does that mean Indians are like not as good at chess or like all this stuff? Like, no, of course not, right? So, because clearly they showed that there was the potential. Once a lot of Indian players started playing chess, they started getting a lot of strong players and grandmasters. So I imagine it would be the same thing with women. If you saw a lot of female players getting into the game, you would see a lot of strong female players like your Judith Polgars and Ho Yufans of the world. So it's just a matter of time. Okay, this one looking good for black. I'll keep an eye on the women here on the side. Let's go back to Fabi game. Oh, look guys, Fabi managed to open it up. Okay, we were following this one earlier to see how a master puts pressure against someone in time trouble. So what did he do? So here, okay, here we were expecting queen f8. h5 was the second move. He played h5. f4 from white. Bishop h4. g5. Breaks with g5. Takes. Queen takes. Knight e2. And now Fabi's thinking again. So Darius 32 seconds on the clock with a 30-second increment. That means he made his last move, knight e2, with 2 seconds on the clock. So move 29 here. White has to make 11 more moves on the 30-second increment. So it'll be interesting to see if Fabi can break through in the next 10 moves. Was queen f2 necessary? Let's see. So here he went queen f2. I guess he wanted to make his next move be knight f3 to expel the bishop. Because, yeah, I agree. It's a little bit unnatural to put the queen into the pin. But I think his plan was knight f3 and then take if not responded to. But Fabio went g5, so kind of changing things. He takes, bishop has to take. And, okay, queen on f2 ends up being normal. So, okay, most natural move here would be rook hg7 with the triple stack on the g file. But then I'm guessing white wants either knight f4 or g3. So black has this nice g file to work with, but the question is, like, how do you get the knights in? These knights are the problem. It's like they're unemployed and they're not even filling out applications. It's like you guys need to put in some effort. You need to do something to make yourselves productive. So something like f6, exactly. Maybe f6 is the move Fabi needs to play. But he's calculating, because f6, white will probably take, he'll take, and then what's going to be white's next move there? Maybe knight f4, but then he's got knight e4. So this is the kind of thing he's calculating right now to see. He doesn't want to just play the move, he wants to kind of anticipate what his opponent is going to do, what he's going to do, then his opponent's next move, like he wants, because he knows knight f4 is coming, and he wants to see the thing. Or f6, knight f4 right away, absolutely. And Darius, of course, is calculating right now, right? He's looking at f6, what am I going to do against f6? So f6, knight f4. Very sharp. Takes here. Knight e4, knight takes e6 works. Or I don't know. I think that was pretty complicated. Because queen could move and there's knight c5 check, but yeah, I wasn't sure. What about knight f8, g6, h4? Yeah, also possible. That could be strong maneuver. Knight e7, knight f5. I kind of like that, actually. Yeah, these knights gotta get a job. Time for these knights to go to work. You're just sitting on their Took us. They got to get to some squares. Okay, Sevian also down to a minute against Andy Woodward. Whoa. What happened here? I thought Sevian was doing well, but all of a sudden he's out of time. He blundered something. Queen e3. Queen e5. Someone blundered something, because f4, knight d5. Andy Woodward, Puzzle Rush World Champion. Pouncing. Oh, look at these tactics. Oh my God. Jesus Christ. No wonder Sevian's out of time. He just, like, out of breath probably. And now Black is doing well. It's like, he's up 2 pawns. This is the third pawn he can take. He can go c6, bishop d5. White's king is more open. g5 is very far away from doing something. Wow, Black is winning. Go Andy. Maybe here. Jeez Louise. I would do some analysis, but if you're wondering what the best move is, just wait for Andy to make a move. Black's next move will be whatever the best move is in this position. Kid is on fire. Okay, c6. I guess c6 was best because he played it. I don't see any other explanation. Andy, dude, monster. Monster. Dang. I mean, I think Sevian kind of did it to himself. Like, he didn't have to play f4. But I'm not sure what he blundered. We could look at the timestamps. Let's see. So f4, knight d5. Oh, 11 minutes on queen f2. Oh, okay. Yeah, he blundered knight d5. He blundered knight d5. It's 11 minutes on queen f2. I mean, it's just one of those things. Like, he calculated f4. He just wasn't visualizing knight d5. He played f4 in 44 seconds. He thought, like, okay, f4, he has to go back. And he just... Oh, Andy tricked him. Andy tricked him. And then, okay, there's this knight c6, but that's the thing. Did Andy see... When did Andy see, like, this and this? I mean, Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. Okay, I'm sorry. Rook d7. All right, bishop d5 check. Takes. King h8. Black is safe. Black is safe. Do we look at Han's mission game? We did a little bit. Yeah, we'll come back to it. We come back to it. Hello, Olio. Most interesting game to look at. Let's see. I think this Fabi game actually pretty interesting. Let's check in with Fabi. Neiman Mishra endgame also interesting. Darius 1 second. How can he have 1 second? He has 30-second increment. Makes no sense. Okay, the clock didn't add his time yet. Okay, so Darius made his last move on 1 second. Here. 97. H4. So, okay, Rook G7 played. Knight F4. Knight E7. H4, Queen H6. Rook E3. So he's inviting Knight F5, but then he wants to put the Rook either on F3 or on H3. Yeah. So Knight on F5 is going to look beautiful for Black, and then the question is, will he have time to get Knight F8, Knight G6 in? Feels like Black's position is very comfortable now. Actually, I love Black's position here. With the Knight on F5, like, you completely block the F file, and then you have this semi-open G file to just do your damage. And White doesn't have the semi-open F file because you have a knight planted here. And I don't think it's going to be so easy for White to get the knight to F3 because it's just stuff is hanging. So like Knight F5, Rook G3, maybe even a Rook G4 exchange sack somewhere you might consider. But Knight F5, then bring this knight here, Rook takes, eventually triple stack on the G file. Exactly. Oh yeah, exactly, Katu, like this even. I was thinking we take back with the Rook with pressure, but no, we take back with the pawn, and okay, White has to give the exchange back, but it's playable for White. Maybe you don't even take the Rook right away, right? Maybe you take this one. So Fabi's position looking very tempting. He goes Knight F5. And Darius should have 30 seconds from his last move with the increment, so I don't think he flagged. Rook F3 is going to come most likely. And then maybe Rook G4 there, maybe Knight F8, Knight G6. Again, just slowly building up, trying to triple stack, and eventually breaking through. So Fabi, good chances here. If he wins, he catches Wesley, who's leading US Championship right now, alone. Okay, Rook H3 played. Rook G4 still possible. I don't think White's gonna... I can't imagine White takes the exchange and then plays Rook H. There's no way this holds for White. This definitely looks just like amazing because you're just down a Rook here. Your Rook is just gone. So no chance there. No chance there. Okay, let's see what's happening. Okay, Neiman Mishra endgame. They have a lot of time. Let's stick with this one, because this one, it's like they're running out of time. Oh, and Sam Sevian, by the way, game is over. Game is over. So C6, Rook D7, Rook E8, G5. He gave a check. Rook takes D5. He gave another check. Takes on D5 with the queen, and now everything is under control and Sam resigns. So great win for Andy. Gets to 2 out of 5, -1, but having fantastic score in his first US Championship. Knight F8 from Fabi. So Rook here. He doesn't decide to rush with Rook G4, Rook G3. He just leaves White's Rook there, goes Knight F8. Probably intending to go Knight G6 and trading off White's better knight on F4. And Rook E1 played by Darius with, again, 2 seconds left on the clock. Move 34, so another 6 more moves to make here for White. 7 for Fabi. I'm guessing Knight G6 here, unless he has another intention with his knight on F8. I don't really see where it's going. Yeah, Knight G6 played. Is Lead Chess still boycotting it, so you have to use Chess.com? I'm not sure, actually. I feel like I've heard otherwise. Like there was a way to find the games on Lead Chess, but I don't actually know. I don't think they ever lifted their boycott. sadly. Um, they are. They're still boycotting. In which countries' tournaments should one play to potentially increase their chances of an IM norm? I would say the best chances would probably be in like bigger open tournaments where you can play a lot of high-rated players. So you're looking for bigger opens. And in terms of the location, I'm not sure where. But I guess I would avoid the eastern side of the world. No offense, guys. No offense, but it's just you're too strong. All right, you're too strong. You guys are too underrated in India, China, and Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan. So try to avoid those places. U.S. also actually, I think very hard to gain points in the U.S. Okay, United States also very bad place. U.S. very bad. Don't go to the U.S. either to try to gain rating. Not recommended. But Europe, South America, I mean, there's not many like strong opens in Africa, so I'm not sure you'd be able to find a lot there. But yeah, imagine the players in Africa might be very underrated as well. So you might have to be careful. Where do you go in Europe to get your first FIDE rating? I mean, any major European country will have lots of FIDE tournaments. So I don't know where you're living, Amy, but generally the way most people get a FIDE rating is they play their local open tournament, which happens to be FIDE rated. Quebec City, Canada. I mean, you could also, I mean, you have FIDE rated tournaments in Canada as well that you could find. But in Europe, I mean, there are many tournaments in Spain, Italy, France, Germany. Germany has tons of events. Netherlands, Portugal, Czech Republic, many tournaments. Yeah, lots of great opens in Czech Republic. Absolutely, I've always wanted to play there, but I haven't had a chance yet. But yeah, one day I would definitely like to play either Pardubice or Prague Open or something like that. Why did Lichess boycott U.S. championships? That they're boycotting St. Louis events, St. Louis Chess Club. And you could, I don't get into it, but you could Google Lichess boycott St. Louis, and it should be their blog on that should be up still. Dang, lots of moves happen. I'm just watching like the women's games. There are like lots of moves happening there. As everyone is. Everyone's in time trouble. Oh, you guys are saying Lichess no longer boycotting St. Louis? Oh, that's new. Did they announce that? I know chess.com stopped boycotting St. Louis. But what about... did Lichess announce that? Oh, okay. Nice. But Lichess is still boycotting USCF events, it sounds like. So that's why they're boycotting US championships. Ah, thank you. Okay, I didn't know that. So US chess is the problem. Nice, not St. Louis. Woohoo! Yeah, I mean that's true. St. Louis, there's a lot of measures taken in St. Louis. I guess USCF also took measures, but I don't know. I mean now it's like you have to, if you work any U.S. event like as arbiter or coach or whatever, You have to do a safe sport training every year. So I've had to take the safe sport training twice already. Once I remember I was like doing coaching thing, then a second time I had to renew it. Okay, I don't know how much that helps, but at least like it's something. It's something. I'm trained now. I'm trained in the delicate art of responsible reporting. Every team I know said that training. I mean, it's not a joke. It's just like, it's not really a training. It's not really a training. It's more of just like a module. It's like an online seminar that's not live, It's like a quiz. It's like, if it's similar to like the test you would take for your driver's permit, except it's not even a test. It's like way less than that. But it tells you, I mean, I don't know. A lot of it is like common sense stuff. Whoa, by the way, huge decision from Fabi, guys. Hold on. To get back to the chess, Fabi just gave up 2 rooks for the queen. That's major decision. But he must have seen something. What did Fabi see? Okay, I guess queen g6, knight g5, knight takes h4. Queen f4, okay. Maybe even better. But is this really problematic? What does he want? Check king h2, right? And then what? I don't necessarily see why this is so winning for black. But it's weird because he really didn't have to take. He didn't have to take. He could go queen f4 here. He could go rook g4. Huh. Interesting. Let's see. Let's see what he's got. Let's see what he's got. Yeah, Jake, not at all. Let me see if I can permit you. Okay. Sushan in the YouTube chat asked, aren't there any round robin tournaments where they deliberately invite old title players so that people can earn norms in an ethical way? Okay, think about what you're saying there for a second. So you recognize that, okay, it would be a little unethical if the players were, paid to lose or anything like that. So of course that's unethical. So you don't want it to be too unethical, but slightly unethical by inviting old guys, easier players, players that were recently fired or had stints in mental hospitals. I get it. You want to find the Saul Goodman run tournaments. Olio has the tournament. Okay, if you join the YouTube, the Twitch chat, Sushan, Olio Yellow in Czech Republic has tournaments like this. Yeah, I mean, there's rumors about, there's these tournaments in Serbia. There was tournaments, I remember rumors about in Ukraine, many places. But some of those events are unethical, fixed events. You pay your money, you get your norm kind of thing. So I don't think we were interested in those. We just wanted gray area. We just want you don't want someone to throw the game. You just want there to be the implication that if they don't throw the game, they might not get invited back to the next tournament. So it's not like you want some concrete thing you have to lose your games, let people get some norms. But you want the implication that if they don't, if they do well, then they're not going to get invited back. So it's nothing unethical. Oh, Tadev won. Tadev won. Yay. Go Tadev. So now she has 2 wins in a row. Wow, she sacked her queen too. Okay, wait, let's see what happened here. So rook g8, queen c6, black starts forcing things on the diagonal. h5, h4, rook c5. Wow, hg. Tadev with the calculation. Takes, check, check. And here white resigned because king f1, I guess just bishop d3 check. Queen e2, and then takes this one with check. And you can take this one, you take the rook. Black is just up way too many pieces here. Probably this one even. And just game over. Okay, well done, Tadev. Okay, let's see Hans. Okay, this is Hans' endgame. This one is actually super sharp. I mean, it feels a little better for whites, maybe much better, but very, very difficult, I think, to play in practice. Fabi game, they reached time control, and I'm still confused about this, the sacrifice, guys. Maybe one of you could explain it to me, but... Okay, he's bringing the king over. Sure. But to where? White's just shuffling back and forth, and I just don't see how black is breaking through here. f6 never seems to do anything. So yeah, very confused about this Fabi game, because he took on g2 like really quickly, like 6 seconds. Like he had to take on g2, otherwise knight g5 is coming. I don't know. So for some reason he has to take, and then just brings the king over. Is rook stuck on h3? Yeah, rook is stuck on h3, but what is queen doing? Like what? Like how does black break through? Right? Check. It's always king h2. How does black improve the position? That's what I'm trying to ask. How does black improve the position here? Because he's moving his king, but okay, I don't see like what his king is gonna do. Like his king's not going anywhere. He could transfer the knight to g4, but I just feel like he would have done it already. So Fabi's last 2 moves have really confused me, because he just goes like king here and king here. It's like, what? How does that improve anything? Okay, maybe there's a future where he needs to defend f7 with the king. Maybe that's why he's worried about knight g5. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I just didn't really understand like what the improvement is. Like it's not like the king is actually better over here. It's like more vulnerable. But I can understand just wanting to defend f7. I think that's kind of the idea. But I still don't see how he's gonna break through. Like let's say white just goes here. We come here, white goes here. So this is the position where black needs to find some kind of improvement. And we can do check and put the knight on g4, white goes here, but then we again need some kind of follow-up. So I'm very skeptical that this is winning for black. To me, it just looks like the 2 rooks are gonna be able to defend here, but I could be wrong. Could be wrong, but that's kind of the big question is if white just does nothing here. Does black have a way to get in? Okay, maybe queen f5, queen c2. At least, I mean, that's at least an idea. That's kind of what we're looking for. So queen f5, queen c2. Infiltration is very important. If infiltration, that could be exactly what we're looking for. But I would wonder, did Fabi, how much he saw, or what did he evaluate, or what? What did he think about this endgame? Very confusing. Okay. Have I done any good dojo training recently? Yeah, you mean like my own training? I train every day pretty much. I'm doing some reading or some solving. How about you guys, huh? Have you guys done any dojo training recently? Huh? Those heat maps better be lit up. Oh, let's get back to live position here. Okay, Darius thinking. I think maybe Darius realized what Fabi's plan is, and now he's trying to understand if he needs to adjust his setup here. But yeah, he's gonna he's gonna use up his time here like a pro. Hans endgame. Is black better from practical perspective? It's hard to say. I think in general maybe. Sometimes it's easier to play with the pawns, but at this level these players are so good that it's like it doesn't matter if it's easier to play with one side. It's like, if one side is objectively better, that's all they really care about. So if white has a series of moves here that leaves him with an advantage, then we'd rather be in Hans's shoes. But it's okay to recognize that black might have the easier game at lower levels. I'm just saying at their level, Hans is probably very happy to take white here with nominal material advantage. But I don't know. I mean, objectively, actually, I'm not even clear like what's happening here. Although, okay, this actually maybe I do understand. If g3, I think he wants rook g8. Then let's say f4 check, king f3. So that on takes, the pawns are still stuck, and then this I would imagine is winning for white because like bishop can come back, this pawn starts to hang, and white has this passed a pawn that's gonna win him the game eventually. So yeah, I get what you're saying. It's like sometimes it's easier for the pawns to play, but concretely it might just be good for the piece. What about f4 first? Ooh, well that's sharp. Takes, and then here. That might be holding for black. That might be draw. Mishra hasn't lost a game in like 14 months or something, so he's good. He's good. Heat map is on life support. Jake, get that heat map up. But if you guys have feedback on the new UI you like to share with me, at some point I feel like we're gonna try to make the UI like somehow better, more satisfying. If you guys have suggestions on how to do that, generally we're open to those. Hayden, thinking of rejoining the dojo. Nice. If you've been at a plateau, then it's a great time to join. Dojo is a great value, guys. We were just talking about in our meeting how it's like $100 a year. You get to join this community, get access to all these tools. Amazing. Can we get firework animations for logging activities? Is that a serious request? Because that's something that Jesse brings up frequently. And it is something that we want to do at some point. It's just not very high up on the priorities list. Right now, Jack is mainly working on the tactics trainer, the new tactics trainer that we're very excited about. But it's going to take time. But in the meantime, maybe we can think about UI improvements. Oh, thank you, Olio. Thank you. Much appreciated. How much time do I spend per problem in a book like in-game strategy? Oh, so you're sometimes going between 2 hours on each example or read it fast in 5 minutes? Yeah, I mean, it's not like you have to spend 2 hours on every position. Maybe there's some in between. Maybe there's some leeway between 5 minutes on an example and 2 hours. Maybe there's some kind of number in between that may like 30, 45 minutes, something like that per example. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with spending more time on positions that are more interesting and less time on positions that you're not that into. F4, Knight Mishra's so good. Yeah, kid's just a little machine. Just a little stockfish 6 running in his brain. Yeah, so I don't think it's really about how much time you spend per example. I think it's just, do you extract some value from the example or not? Do you get do you learn something interesting? Do you get to retain some key idea from the position or not? So however long that takes you. An honest doubter from YouTube says Hans is poisoned for chess. He still claims he only cheated twice, while chess.com Fair Play Team's Hans report says he cheated hundreds of times He is dishonorable and deceptive. Okay, well, look, let's address it. But I haven't seen Hans say a whole lot about his cheating thing lately. But for the most part, from what I've seen, Hans has been on his better behavior. He's respectful, he's polite. I don't think he's had any issues here at the U.S. Championships. He was banned from the St. Louis club for some time. I don't really know what the status is with that. Yeah, he did definitely cheat online, probably more than he admitted to in the past, but yeah, what are we going to do? We're going to hold him against that for the rest of his life, like until he comes clean with exactly how much he cheated online. We just ostracize him. I'm not really sure, because there's many players that have cheated online that we don't know about, right? That are probably participating in events and stuff. There's at least a handful of players that we don't know about that are playing. I'm not saying like U.S. Championship, but like playing tournaments. So he's just kind of the one where it became an open thing about it. But yeah, I'm definitely not a Hans fan by all means. I mean, check out some of our podcasts, but yeah, at some point you have to kind of, I don't know, like if we, if you think he's still cheating, that's one thing, right? Obviously that's bad. We would all have issue with that. But if we believe that let's say he's playing fairly now, how much do we have to hold him accountable, to what he was doing when he was 17, 18? I don't know. Yeah, but when is this lying that we were talking about? Like, because of course, okay, he probably lied in his St. Louis interview like many years ago, like when the thing first dropped, right? But and I understand he's like maintained his innocence, but I kind of would expect that from. Again, you don't see anyone else coming out and opening up about any cheating that they've done. Magnus said on Joe Rogan appearance that he still finds Hans's place. But that's an important question for you. Do you still find Hans's place? Because we're talking about two very different things here, right? We're talking about two different, it's one thing if you think Hans is still cheating. Then of course of course if he's still cheating, then of course he's toxic, he's poison for the game, that's not good. But if that's not the issue, if the issue is just that he's lying about his past cheating, that's a different thing, right? That's a different thing. So you can't use both here. You gotta choose one or the other. You can't be like, I don't like that he's lying, and also Magnus is still says, well, okay. What's the accusation here? Is that he's still cheating, or that it's the lying that we have an issue with? What the current dojo Discord call is. So in the Discord, we have these voice channels that are open to everyone. And the way those work is anyone can start a voice channel. There's even a thing that says create your own room. And basically you click on that and it opens up a voice channel for you. And the point of those is that anyone can start a new room and just start training or doing some chess, and others can join in. And people often do. So when someone wants help looking at their game, what they'll do is they'll just open up a room, start looking at their game. Someone who's online will join in. Hey, what are you looking at? They start analyzing. Others join in. All of a sudden, you have a whole analysis session. And there are some that are scheduled, like Falk and a couple other people, M. Norris. They do like these weekly sessions where every week they do a specific thing, either going through a book or doing like game review for certain levels or something like that, which is pretty cool. So some of those are on the schedule. A lot of those actually people just start a voice channel and then they just start analyzing, and or looking at something, and then that's it. So you don't. You're always welcome to join. That's kind of the point. If they're out, if you can see them, that means you have access to join them, most likely. And so that means that they're open to everyone. So don't be shy. People are very nice, and you can just come and listen for a bit or say hi. But yeah, people do training every day in the Discord, which is super cool. Tron says, I don't think there's any shot he's cheated OTB. What makes you so confident on that, Trons? Yeah, I can understand that not trusting Hans, but I don't think he actually lied on the lawsuit thing. I think it was settled. Like I just finished Danny Wrench's book, which is very interesting. Actually, to Murphy's comment, chess.com's tolerance of cheating and lack of transparency. I would disagree with that they have any tolerance of cheating. Maybe the transparency thing we talk about, but just going off of Danny's book, I feel like there definitely no tolerance to cheating, in my opinion. But I think the lawsuit was settled. Like there was a part that was dismissed, but no, but there was a settlement. I think there was like an appeal, and I can read you the thing from Danny's book. But he basically said that even though the initial lawsuit was dismissed, they still decided to settle it because it wasn't worth to pursue it. So you need to take back your words, because you need to, and you'll still say, oh, but Hans is so untrustworthy and blah blah blah. I don't disagree with you, but on this point, I think he was actually telling the truth. Let's see here. Okay, I'll read here. 9 months later, this is from Danny's book, guys. 9 months later, the judge presiding over the case dismissed the antitrust and collusion charges with prejudice, meaning they were wholly without merit and couldn't be refiled. The defamation charges were dismissed on grounds of jurisdiction without the antitrust element. Those claims had no place in federal court and could only be refiled against each of us individually in state court. At that point, Hans and his lawyers were down a rook and a pawn in a clearly losing position, and any reasonable party would have resigned. But we were not dealing with a reasonable party. Hans's attorneys made it clear they intended to keep pursuing things in state court for as long as they could. I wanted to stand our ground, and I didn't want to set a precedent that Chess.com was willing to settle flimsy claims. But that's not how things work in business. In business, there's a point where you just want things to go away. So, okay, on August 28, 2023, our settlement with Hans Niemann was announced. So they did settle. They did. There's no evidence he has cheated OTB. Is there just speculation based on vibes? Okay, but Murphy, what are you talking about vibes? What do you think vibes is? So the lawsuit was dismissed, yes, but they also settled because apparently Hans was gonna refile the lawsuit, right? So there was a settlement. And it definitely seemed like Hans got paid because I mean uh, started throwing a lot of money around. Yeah, I don't know. That polygraph test was very weird, right? Like that one didn't seem like a normal polygraph test at all. I'm sorry, I didn't buy the polygraph like one bit. It just seemed like they just hired some guy. And I don't know, it just didn't look legit at all. Yeah. Um, what would make one believe that he cheated over the board? So, okay, this is also coming from Danny's book. So players were suspicious of Hans like way before Sinkfield Cup, right? So what I think a lot of fans don't understand or like just miss, cause, okay, people read stuff online, they don't really get the full story. What a lot of fans miss is they think that like Magnus accused Hans because he lost that one game. And it was like but the reality is like he made that accusation, like he dropped out because like they were already like suspicious of Hans for like years. Actually, there was like rumors about Hans like being closed online, cheating online. He got closed online, so then he started crushing at OTB during the pandemic, so there was suspicions about his OTB performance. So that's what players were kind of reacting to for like 1 or 2 years before the Sinkfield Cup ever even happened in the first place. So yeah, so I would say it was definitely not just vibes, right? Like people were going off of like his very quick rise. Like he started shooting up OTB, which was very unprecedented for someone that was kind of stuck. And his games were also quite good. Like his games were quite remarkable or impressive, as they say, on his way up to 2600. And I remember that. I mean, this is not to cast judgment one way or the other. I remember when Hans was on his way up from 2480 to like 2600, he was winning lots of tournaments. He was winning World Open, US Junior Championship, all these events. I remember seeing some of his games and being like blown away by his talent, right? Just being like, wow, he's so strong. Like this guy's going to be 2700 GM. Like I was like, his games are amazing. And so it's clear now that the top players were also seeing these games and not being impressed in the same way. Like I was kind of naively impressed, and they were like not so naively impressed, if you guys catch my drift. So it definitely wasn't just because Magnus loses this one game to Hans that they were suspicious of the kid. This had been building up for a year or two already. So it's very hard to say. I mean, I don't know what the truth is. I mean, I think it's personally, I don't think that Hans cheated against Magnus in that famous game. If I had to guess, obviously only Hans really knows the truth. But I don't think it's impossible that he cheated OTB. I think that's totally possible. Just given all that happened, I don't think it's like likely. I have no idea, but to me it seems, let's say, more likely that Hans cheated OTB than Mishra has, or or someone else, right? Without all this stuff kind of surrounding them. Oh. Yeah, yeah, of course. You need proof with a serious charge of cheating, but it's like, again, there's a lot of daylight between having video evidence of someone cheating and just thinking they're cheating based off of vibes. Like, there's a lot of room in between there, and the top chess players are the top chess players. They have an amazing understanding of chess, right? So when someone is playing in a weird way, I would imagine the top players have much better like engine detection than your average Joe. Like I don't know if they've tested this. I think actually David Smurden did. I don't know what the results were, but I think if you give a bunch of games to a strong player and you ask them to pick out like who's cheating and who isn't, generally I think they're going to do better than your average chess player. I don't know if they will, but I would expect. Kramnik has very good judgment when it comes to chess related matters. I would, even on the cheating stuff, it's just the way he goes about it is not that great. Is the issue with Hans that he's playing all these sacrifices and attack? No, he had multiple games OTB on his rise, right? So before he was like 2,700 level player, so with a rating, a modest rating of like 2,500, 2,480, he was playing these games that are like very kind of like high level, where it's just like he's finding ideas and moves that are not so thematic and happen to be engine correct, right, and really strong, and just had this like very, very impressive rise. So it wasn't necessarily like sacrifices and attacking moves. It's just like he had some really, really unique games where a lot of the moves match up with the engine. Like there's this one game where with black, he puts his knight on h2, and white has pawns on g2, h3. So he kind of entombs his own knight on h2, but it turns out to be very strong. It's a pretty deep idea. That was just one example of a game where it's like he comes up with this like very unique idea. It turns out to be engine correct. He wins the game. His opponent like had no chance. There are other games too. I'm just saying this is like, I'm not saying my thoughts necessarily, but just like these are the games that I'm sure top players were seeing. Because it's open now that there was lots of rumors swirling around Hans, prior to Sinquefield Cup. I think it was a David Smurden study. David Smurden being like grandmaster and also like I think he's a doctor as well in statistics or something. But yeah, very, very qualified guy. What do I think of the Hans and Kramnik relationship? I mean, very interesting. I always compared it to the Trump and Elon friendship, in the sense that it's like kind of unlikely, but it also makes sense. With Hans being Trump and Elon being Kramnik. Yeah. Which I think is like I think it's a great comparison actually for multiple reasons. Because like Hans and Trump are very similar, right? They like talk a lot. You don't often know like what is true that's coming out of their mouth or what even they believe. They're clearly like playing it up for the audience and just like saying stuff they think people want. They're playing a character. It's like very clear. And then Elon and Kramnik are similar in the sense that they both used to be just like kind of universally respected across the aisle. Like when Elon was just like a rocket scientist, I don't think anyone really hated him. But then they got into like, they got into like politics and started getting like outside of their lane, and now of course they're very controversial figures, both of them. And yeah, so it's like unlikely friendship in both cases. Like Trump and Elon, I feel like very intelligent guy wouldn't really like someone like Trump. And then Hans and Kramnik, also very unlikely friendship, but kind of, I mean, good for them, good for them. Sure, Murphy, sure, whatever. I'm just saying, a couple of years ago, like no one would have cared whether Elon was smart or not. But now it's like a topic of discussion. Oh, is Elon so? Who cares? Like, that's why I never really got about the whole Elon thing. Okay, you don't like his politics, you like his politics, but like, what does it matter whether he's intelligent or not? Like, why is that a point of contention? Probably the guy is smart. Yeah, I don't know I've completely lost track of this game. I don't know what's happening. Now, okay, yeah, Sushan made a comment. Hans's play indicates now that he's legitimately 2,700 plus. How can anyone say he cheated his way up? So, this is kind of my thing about Hans. It's like, so I don't really think Hans is like still cheating. I don't know if he ever cheated OTB, but I don't think he's still cheating. And so how would that happen if he did cheat before? Well, like he's always been a talented player, so he started working hard and improved his chess. That's not crazy. But the thing is, it's like, unless you think he is still cheating, then at some point, if you think he's now playing fairly, well, then you kind of let the past be the past, Sadly, he's not the only player that's cheated online. He somehow managed to take the brunt of the what do you want to call it? The outrage, right, over online cheating. But if you believe he's a fair player today, then yeah, you can't. I don't think it's really fair to hold that stuff against him forever. It happened when he was young. I don't know how much of it happened when he was 13, 14, 12, how much of it happened when he was 16, 17. I would argue if you're a 16-year-old international master, you are already mature enough to know that cheating is wrong. So for me, the age thing is not like the biggest factor here. 16, 17, like, that doesn't mean a 16, 17-year-old knows right from wrong in every single situation. But a 16-year-old international master is a professional player already, right? So he's not an idiot at 16 years old. So he definitely should understand the consequences at that point. He's just too strong not to, basically. Strong players understand the consequences of cheating. So I don't give him a lot of credit there, but he's not the only one that cheated. He did it when he was younger. I don't believe he ever came fully clean about it, but he definitely like suffered. Like, it's not like he didn't experience any punishment, right? So yeah. So that's the thing. Like, if you think he's now a fair player, at a certain point, we have to just kind of forgive all that stuff. Now, if you think he's still cheating, then of course that's a different story. Then obviously, you would have full reason not to like him. Where did he cheat at 19? What are you referring to, the 19? And I don't agree that he's still lying about how often he cheated. He's just not like open about it. I think it's kind of a different. I feel like he doesn't want to talk about it. And I wouldn't either. if I was him. But I don't. It's not like he's going around. But anyway, we're going around in circles at this point. But what are you talking about? What was this 19 thing? Okay, F3. By the way, I have no idea what's going on in this position. Mishra did give a C pawn, but it's only to get his F pawn going. I mean, this is like 3-result position right now. Because black is threatening mate in a couple moves. Yeah, no, wild game. Wild game. Did Carlson make the situation worse with the accusation? Yeah, he kind of did. I definitely don't think Carlson went about it in the best possible way. I definitely don't. And yeah, Sparky made a good point. Everyone who's frustrated about cheating used Hans as a punching bag to take out their frustrations. I think that's not too far off from the truth. I think that could very well be the case, where it's like, sometimes you have like an annoying kid in class, and then everyone bullies them, and it's like, it's like the kid was being annoying and like annoying everyone, but at a certain point it's like the crowd is the jerk for bullying the kid, even if he started it by like, I don't know, throwing his trash at everyone. It's like at a certain point it's like the response becomes too much. And I think that's kind of what happened with Hans. It's like, yeah, he definitely did some bad stuff. That's not good, but he's not the only player that's ever cheated. He's just like, he was the public one that experienced all the brunt of the outrage. So yeah, it's a very tough thing. It's like, and it wasn't just like Magnus, it was chess.com and Hikaru and like all the top players. It was a lot. How would I have gone about in Carlsen's place if I thought my opponent was cheating? So, great question. I think everyone should reflect on that. I definitely wouldn't have pulled out of the tournament the way Magnus did. Maybe I wouldn't have played the tournament in the first place, which Magnus was considering, but ultimately was talked out of. So if I strongly believed going into it that Hans is so suspicious, then I would have pulled out before the tournament. But if I decided to play the game, lose, and then I'm super upset, I would, just for the sake of trying to catch the guy. I feel like what Magnus did was weird because he like leaves the tournament and then there's no extra like checks or anything until like after it was announced. So I feel like I would have just like kept cool and like let them increase the checks for the next round, right? Versus like announcing this big thing and then Hans has a whole day to stop cheating, basically. Exactly as Johnny says, yeah. just quietly tell the organizers about my fears. Although, I mean, it's weird. Like, there should have been a delay before the tournament because I think they, Magnus already voiced his concerns before the event, and Nepo did too, and so on. But yeah, play it off. Play it off like like everything's cool, and then see if they can try to catch him in the next round. Hans really stands out for being probably the only player in the world who just keeps playing the same opening again and again. I don't really perceive that to be true. Are you talking about the Italian game or what? I think there's been many players that have been known for playing one opening over and over again. MVL being famous example, Levon, there are many players like that, Levon Aronian, etc., etc. Didn't Nepo effectively admit to using an engine in games too? I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about exactly, but sometimes top players take out their engine, have been known to take out their engine when they think they're playing a cheater. I don't really think it counts, if they're open about it. Like if Nepo, let's say he thought he's playing a cheater and he starts cheating himself for 10 games in some, casual match online, and then he's like open about it. Yeah, I use the engine for these 10 games. Like whatever. I don't care about that. It's not the same as Hans or someone signing up for Title Tuesday or signing up for some like Chess Bras, like Fight Nights or whatever, and like using the engine there. It's not the same. Even if Nepo is wrong. I mean, of course, it's funny if he's wrong, right? Like he's playing against some strong junior, he thinks the kid's cheating, the kid's not cheating, he starts cheating himself. Like that's definitely wrong to do. I think it's more funny than like horrible. But yeah, it's very different than not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying if you guys are playing online and you think your opponent is cheating, you have a right to then use the engine. I'm just saying for these top guys occasionally I don't care. I don't care. For you guys I do care because you're not strong enough to deduce where your opponent, just because you hung your piece and your opponent took it, guys, doesn't mean your opponent is cheating. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. JJM asks, Sindorov and Maksulu are the other confirmed online cheaters at the top, right? I don't know, JJ. I have only seen those names in random Reddit posts. I've never once seen anyone with authority confirm that they were banned or anything like that. I've only seen rumors from like Reddit, basically. I don't know, Bid Colin. I don't think so. I don't think it was related to that. So my advice for people, if you're playing online and you think your opponent is cheating, is to try to ignore those thoughts, actually. It's very difficult to play against an opponent that you think is cheating. So I would suggest to treat every opponent like they're playing fairly and just do your best. Now, is Hans playing really well this game? Because, I mean, this is... I have no idea what's happening in this position. I feel like he's... I guess, does Black even have a threat here? Check, King G2. It's very slow, actually. Maybe White is, like... But maybe he can start with g2 and f2. Maybe that's the threat. But if you start with g2, there's check. So we gotta go rook f8, huh? Oh, sorry. Am I pointing this thing? No, we're talking, guy. We're having conversation. It's hard to analyze. But this one is a particularly difficult endgame to analyze, I will admit. Very, very hard to see. Who would I prefer given a choice? Probably white. Because I actually don't see how black is breaking through in the moment. Okay, let's check Fabi's game. Oh. Fabi made progress. He won exchange somehow. So let's see what Fabi did. So queen g4, king e7, queen f4, check, f6, knight e3, and white had to take because king g1, queen e1 check. So here, did he have to play this? I guess if king g1 and knight h4 maybe. So it's like white was in zugzwang. But white still might have a fortress here because everything is defended. So I don't know if black can win this one. Nah? Okay. How does black win? True. Maybe with e5. I think you go king f2. But e5 and d4. Okay, we'll see if Fabi can break through. Yeah, maybe he can somehow get to the H pawn. King f2, queen h1. Check, and then... Yeah, maybe he just gets to the H pawn. If king g2, queen e1, king h3... Again, queen h1, queen g1. Yeah, I think actually could be breaking through, guys. Could be breaking through. Let's see. Big win for Fabi. If he wins, he's tying for first. Okay, guys, I take a quick break. I'll be back. See you all soon. Holy moly. Wow. Fabi, huh? All this talk about Hans. Fabi was like, how about me? I can break through. Guys, I got the veggie sticks here. Veggie sticks, not sponsored. C3. Looking pretty good for black. I think black's winning, guys. I don't know what you think. I think black's winning this. Wow, go Fabi. Dang. The two rooks for the queen sacrifice. Very impressive. I wonder if it was always good. I think it's resigns. I don't see how. There's no counterplay. The king escapes, and black is about to get second queen. You know, if you could give your knight for the pawn, maybe, but even there. But it's like, okay, you can give your rook for the pawn, but that's not going to be enough. So Fabi winning. Hans, I think, also winning. We'll come back to it. Okay, d5. Okay, check and take. I mean, you can take the rook and promote. What's he gonna do though? What's the most precise? I think just take. Or maybe just take the rook. So many wins. Queen d2 check, okay. Maybe he wants this and this. I mean, white's one trick is that if black promotes, then white does have a perpetual like this. Which is, I mean, I think it's a perpetual. But queen e1, okay. This is probably resigns because he's going to take on e5. I would have just maybe taken the rook and promoted, but I think queen e5 is good too. Yeah, that should be GG. Yeah, game over. So Fabi, guys, breaking news. Good at chess. Still. Hans game. Let's see. So we had f3 check, a5, ring d1. Now white is very close to winning. So black, I think, has to try this. But then just rook e1 check, king d2, king f2, and black is just stuck. Yeah, so rook e1 and king f2. Guys, might be Mishra's first loss in 70 games. Looks like Hans is winning. How it's possible? Oh, is that Mishra's last loss? 2024 US Champs against Hans? Wow. Now he's not going to lose again for another 2 years. That's amazing. Okay, king f4. But now there's no threat here. He wants this. But push. King g3, rook e3. King back. Rook over. No, then f2. Then f2. Okay. So here, here. And if here, then back here. And you can't go this way because f2. You can't come up. You'd have to come down, but then here. And if here, then takes, and you're not in time. So king f2, I think he has to play right now. And then h5 should be too slow. So king f2 looks like only move. Oh. Bishop d5. What's wrong with king f2? I don't know. I don't know, Bauer. I don't know. I thought king f2 is the move. Why not king f2? I don't know, guys. I don't know. I also think king f2 was correct. I was just, guys, look, we're just analyzing. So I was just looking at the most like forcing, like pawn push. But no, I thought king f2 was going to be played. But he goes here. So on king g3, then he has rook e3, rook takes f3. Because now, guys, we're in this kind of territory where you can simplify. So this is something that white can do to win. So that's the problem for black. He can go here, but then just b4. Doesn't really help. Bishop b7 also, and then a6, and so on. I'm not sure if king f2 was bad. To me, it looked okay. I could be wrong, though. Could be wrong. Who's my pick to win the whole thing? Maybe Fabi. Fabi is a good candidate. I think either Fabi or Hans. Hans, I think, actually has really good chances this year because he started off with 3 out of 4 blacks and he's +1. So he's had a very good start. If he wins this, he's tied for first. So could be Hans's year. He could be the first American US champion. Or G5. H5 was possible, yes. But then maybe he was afraid of this check. And here. And then if rook f6, again, rook takes f3 followed by a6. The Moke mind virus. And then if here, I guess here. So maybe that's why h5, check and rook e3. So rook g5 played. So now on check, he's not in time to go rook e3 because rook takes d5. So Mishra fighting back here, guys. He's not ready to go down without a fight. I mean, you don't go 70 games without a loss, without some skills, some chops. f3. What are you guys saying? Bishop takes f3. You guys calculated this? Okay, so take, rook a1. I guess I'll calculate for you, rook g8. What do you want, a6 here? Oh, and then just check and take. Oh, Hans found the win also. Very curious, you guys. Very curious. Well, I think it's the B pawn, because you can stop the A pawn. But I think it's the B pawn that's coming. Mishra's going down, guys. Yeah. I think Han's winning. I mean, this looks pretty clear. This looks pretty clear. Oh, maybe. Well, what's that? Well, a6 here. Push here. So, if you just run the pawns, it's not like you win. So some technique is needed here, right, guys? So maybe he starts with b4. Is this so easy? You guys are saying, how does he stop the pawn? I just showed you. Like so. A rook to c1 where? Give me a variation, guys. Stop barking moves at me, please. Just give me a variation instead of like... Guys, if it's so easy, why are you not in US Championship? B4 and some rook c... What do you mean some rook c1? Guys, what are you talking about? Ravelfish, great question. Is this US Championship or total US Championship? Ah, rook h5 you wanted. Here, rook h5. Good question. He would have played rook a3. And then he takes this one. And you can't do this. Because white takes first. Yeah, for me, this is not a super obvious endgame. For some, it seems to be over. They're like, oh, b4, king d5, rook c1 works. If rook g8, rook c1, oh, it's just completely over. I don't have the same confidence, guys. I don't know. For me, it's like, oh, it's going to be tempo by tempo. Like, I don't even know what, like, variations you guys are seeing. I have no idea. But Hans believes, though. Hans believes. He wouldn't have taken here if he didn't think this was winning. Because I feel like he had other options. He didn't have to. Or maybe he did have to take. I'm not sure. He's thinking now. So for some reason, for Hans, it's not so obvious. But what win are you talking about, Katu? How do we know there's a win? How do we know there's a win? Brute force calculation. It's weird. Hans is slow rolling the guy. I also believe in Hans. I feel like he wouldn't have done this if it wasn't a likely winning. But clearly he's calculating here. He's generally not one to slow roll. So he's thinking about either a6 rook a8 or b4 first. B4 king d5. Okay, b4 found. Does Hans's rise show that calculation is most important to improve in chess? Okay, Bobby, I feel like there's a lot of assumptions in this. Number one being that Hans mainly worked on calculation in order to rise, which maybe he did, but how do we know that? Because he also worked on like openings and other stuff too. But I do agree outside of that, outside of Hans, that calculation is basically the most important skill to work on in chess. I just think that regardless of what Hans did, I mean, kids improve. Kids are very talented, but for everyone else, of course, I mean, yeah, I think calculation is the thing. Whoa, b5. He'll find b. You guys are saying like, this like there's like certain moves here that like he has to find or not find. I don't like this line of conversation, because the players here don't know that there's like certain moves to be found or not found. I also don't know. You guys are talking like computers. Basically, you're talking like computers. I don't like it. I don't like it. Yeah, I think that's true. I think Hans did do lots of Agard puzzles. But I'm sure he worked on openings as well. So I wouldn't say that he's just like the picture of like calculation training. I think he did a lot of studying. But nevertheless, calculation, I think, very important. Okay, king c5. b6. So is this winning? Oh, I think it's winning. I think it's winning. Just wants a6 next. So a6, rook here, a7. Oh, king b7. Wait, is it winning? Hold on, guys. Well, rook b1 now. Rook b1. Here, then push. I think rook b1 now is the move. Here, then push, and push. But then king here. Wait, I don't see how white wins. a6, rook g8. a7, king b7. Oh, a6, rook g8, b7 maybe. But then king b6. I don't see. Wait, so how does white win? a6, rook g8, b7, king b6? Oh, rook c1, rook c8. That seems to win. If rook c1 now, maybe here. I don't think rook a2 is a zugzwang, Prabhat. I think rook a2 maybe, like, like just, but no, you can't take. Yeah, so rook a2, black is pushing. So rook a2, I think the idea was to take on g2, not zugzwang. So you have to, I think you might have misunderstood that one. Okay, rook c1. I think Hans found a way. Rook c1, rook c7. Now where the king goes. I guess king b8, a6. Rook g6, a7 check. And if here, then check, b7. Yeah, I think Hans found a way. I think Hans found a way. You guys need to be a little less obvious when you're checking the game. But anyway. That was fun. That was fun. Okay. Oh, one draw pawn, rook and bishop against rook. We'll see if a wonder can hold. Okay, I think Hans wins this, guys. I think it's winning. I don't know what you guys think. I think it's winning. King 8, a6. Misha's like, I haven't lost in 70 games. Okay, how Hans wins now? Well, now I think you can do this and just take. So rook c2. You can't move your rook off the back rank because of mates. So you have to go here. White can just take. You can also come here and take this one. Rook h7 played. Yeah, I think this is going to be resigned soon. Okay, guys, that's going to wrap it up for our coverage here. David will be back later tonight to do Rapid Tournament. Friday Night Fights is becoming a Rapid event. So Rapid Tournament tonight for all the interested. And then starting next week, we're going to do our classical arenas on the weekend. We're going to start doing some classical Saturday mornings starting next weekend. But for the meantime, U.S. Championship continues. So I'll be back tomorrow for more U.S. Champs coverage, most likely at some point. Probably hop on for an hour or two. But yeah, thanks guys for hanging out. I'll send a raid over to STL Chess Club so you guys can watch the end of the round there. I warn you guys, the STL channel, they are going to have the engine on, guys. So be very careful when you go to that channel because they're going to have the engine analysis going, and you might see the eval bar. I know, you know, all of you hate that and actively avoid looking at the engines, especially when you're watching live on this channel. But yeah, just so you guys know, just so that there's that warning there. Okay, folks, have a great rest of your day, and see you next time. Take care.